Hola, this is Alex. Welcome back to my channel. This is the end of my first week on Wegovy, so I want to do an update for you. Last week when I weighed initially, I was 271 pounds. This morning I weighed and I was 264, so that's 7 pounds I've lost in 7 days. It's obviously an average of a pound a day, but it didn't actually work out like that. It was as a long-standing fat girl obsessed with weight and scales, I don't weigh more than once. I don't weigh only once a day. I weigh a lot of times a day, and a lot of times during the night sometimes as well when I'm particularly obsessive. I haven't got over that yet, so I weighed a lot this week, and it was the first sort of 3 days was about 1.5 pounds a day, and then it tapered off during the week, which I presume it's to do with the injection. You know, I presume that it kind of diminishes as the week goes by, but essentially it's it balances out to be £1 a week, and if I was a normal person weighing once a week like you're supposed to, then it would only come across like that, so that's probably lesson learned. It's been a strange old week, and it's kind of something that I want to talk about because it's hard not to listen to all the stuff that's going on. Obviously, I've watched a lot of other videos and different things. I have to start a new channel, which I've never done, so that's, you know, some of them have been to do with that, but mostly they've been to do with journeys on Wegovy, or a lot of them I feel were, in hindsight, you know, they were people had taken the drug and then they said, oh, this is how I lost my weight on Wegovy, Manjaro, whatever. This I didn't find an awful lot that followed it from the start, so I'm hoping that that's going to be a point of difference, but it certainly presents me in a different light, I think, because I'm coming at it from the very vulnerable beginning of it, and it is quite exposing, you know, just to watch that video back last week, just saying your weight on the screen, you know, for people to know is a big deal, as I'm sure most of you know, but also just standing up and taking a video of yourself. I don't look at myself all in one go. You know, if I clean my teeth, I look at my teeth. I don't really look at my face in one go. I certainly don't look head to toe and examine. And of course, when you watch back a video of you standing there, I had no idea I was that round. I know my weight. It's hard to compare it to other people. You do look at walk in the streets and you say, well, am I as fat as she is? Is she skinnier than me? Is she holding it differently? And you know, oh, she's a different shape. So to see myself standing there was confronting, but in a, you know, not in a terrible way. You know, it's quite good to do it. It's liberating in a way. Last week I never thought to put makeup on. I haven't even showered this week. I've walked into the village and I'm sweating a little bit. I've still got the hat on. So I suppose it is going to be warts and all. So that's what first thing I wanted to say was just to position myself and say, look, this is where I am. I'm not going to try and, there's at no point, hopefully, am I ever going to say, oh, this is what you do, this is what I did, these are the lessons I learned. I'm certainly not there yet. If it is, it's going to be years down the line. At the moment, it's me learning as I go along and just showing you, exposing all of that, all the failures and everything that I go through. Sorry, there's bugs everywhere. I've put some citronella on. Yeah, so that's basically where I'm coming from. So then back to this week, it was hard as an overview. It's hard to differentiate at this stage what is me just slipping back into my normal routine, my normal state, I suppose. You know, I've watched some videos and they've talked about the food noise going. I'd never heard anything described as food noise before, and that was quite eye-opening. That was a real sort of eureka moment when you say, oh God, yeah, exactly, that's exactly how you would define it, the food noise. But also when you've spent your life, or a greater part of it, with food issues and dieting and not dieting, and the things that go through your mind, and the way that you read your body, and the way that you feel that hunger is good sometimes and hunger is bad at the times. You know, it's a strange old thing. I noticed that when I lost weight last time, I did it after I'd moved to Spain. I lost a lot of weight, and I think a lot of it was because I was happy, but also diet completely changed. I was not eating processed food. I was not eating anything. There was no take there. It's not, I live in like traditional Spain, so there's no real takeaways that we know. Burger King down the road, but that never interested me. So I lost quite a considerable amount of weight. And what I noticed, again with hindsight, was that I had started to eat when I was hungry. I felt that I started eating like normal people with normal relationships with food, how they ate. I mean, everybody overate sometimes, and everybody liked, people enjoyed things, but essentially, if you never got past the point of obesity, or slipped into obesity, your weight just fluctuated a little bit. So normal healthy people's relationship with a normal healthy relationship with food, I felt that I slipped into that, and what I defined it as in the end was mostly eating when I was hungry, stopping when I was full. When I'm not in that state, when I'm much more emotional, for whatever reason, I mean, I'll maybe go into different things that have happened this year, but when I'm not in that state, my normal state and my normal relationship with food is that I use it for every emotion. So they talk about comfort eating. Comfort eating is not really, it's a very, very kind of surface level thing. Yes, I comfort eat, but I also reward with food. If I've done something right, I'm going to treat myself to something. I punish with food. Every emotion that you can imagine, you use food for that reason. So, and then the other thing I realized then is when you are talking emotional eating, as opposed to eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full, I would eat when I wasn't full. So that thing that people say about wanting to fill a void, or the hole, that you have a hole in you and you want to just fill it, and that's why you eat, it's absolutely the truth. When you and so what you're feeling, what the emotions that you're feeling in your stomach, or I'm not saying you, but I'm going to go back, the emotions I was feeling that start in your gut and stomach, and your gut's twitching with it, you interpret, again, I interpreted as hunger, or I use it as an excuse. So I would, as soon as if I wasn't full, I would have a little bit more. And sometimes it wasn't necessarily big meals, but it was a lot, picking, whatever it might be. So that was the situation I found myself back in. I had lost a lot of weight when I first moved to Spain, and then things happened, and suddenly that mindset switched again, and I went back to who I was. And that's the problem I think that's why I yo-yo diet, and I'm sure it's why a lot of people yo-yo diet. It's because, the emotions, it all depends on your emotions. And while I was happy I can lose weight, if I'm happy I can lose weight, if I'm not, I can't. And the best I can hope for is that I can maintain. So, having said all that, when I entered this first week, the first thing I noticed was, so I took it Tuesday night, and Wednesday morning, wasn't really hungry, didn't really fancy anything. A cup of tea. No, I don't drink milk, I drink oat milk, because I just, anyway, whatever. I came off milk a while ago for a couple of different reasons. Like oat milk, but oat milk is quite creamy. And a cup of tea was turning my stomach because it just was too creamy and too heavy. I was eating and it was fine. I wasn't feeling sick, I was just feeling a little bit nauseous, just enough to make me go, I don't really fancy eating this. And now I'm thinking that this is to do with the drug. Obviously, you put it down to the drug, no problem. Then when it came to lunch, I put half of what I would normally put on a plate, and I ate half of that. I just wasn't really interested. Got full much quicker. So this is what I'm expecting. I feel a little bit sick, feel a little bit fuller, and that's what I'm expecting the side effects to be. And it went on like that most of that day. The next day I went shopping, grocery shopping, and it was a strange one. It was like I walked around with mild car sickness. Not really feeling sick, but just not feeling right. Feeling a little bit, I was a little bit clammy, a little bit lightheaded, a little bit nauseous. I walked around the supermarket, and everything I would normally buy, all the little treats, like the odd little cake or pastry, or certainly anything creamy or cheesy, fatty, anything with cheese, just turned my stomach. It took me ages to shop because I just felt out of sorts. the next couple of days, I suppose, for the first 2 or 3 days, that's basically how I felt, off and on. It wasn't a constant thing; it was an off and on thing. And then it got better. Definitely got better as the week got on. I think I do wonder whether or not the drug, you take it weekly, whether or not, I don't know yet if it diminishes as the week goes on. So by the end of the week, like I said, the weight loss is not quite so much as it was the beginning of the week. Your side effects aren't quite as bad, but they weren't. My side effects weren't bad, but they went from being there at some points of the day to not being there at all. So I don't know if that's because the drug diminishes as the week goes by, or if it's just that I got used to it. But the other thing that I'm questioning is I don't know how much of what I was feeling was psychosomatic. And it's hard to, I don't think I'll ever know. I think, I'll come to a conclusion, I expect, but I won't know. Because what I realized as the week went on was that the times I was feeling nauseous were probably a little bit of hunger, maybe. I don't think I was eating enough. So as I was getting hungry, it was making me feel sick. And then as I was eating, the nausea, it's not sick, nausea definitely. The nausea was stopping me eating too much. So I don't know if that's the way it works. I've watched a few videos and say, I haven't watched as many as I could. I don't want to be affected by them too much. I don't want to be influenced by them. But I do wonder how much of it is psychosomatic. How much of it is, me, what I'm expecting, what I have expected in the past, the way I'm eating. If it's because if I'm eating this way, if the things I'm turned off and the things I'm pulled towards are because that's what I expected when I diet anyway. When I diet, I lose I try not to eat these things, and cheese and obviously things like that are things that I should be staying away from. So if my brain is actually turning me off them now, I don't know. So that's where I am with this at the moment. I'm still to determine what is fact and what is fiction, what is mental and what is physical. So this is where we're going to be. I'm going to give it another go. Now, obviously, I've taken my other injection. My second injection I took yesterday at 6 o'clock in the evening. So that was Tuesday night. This is Wednesday morning again, and we'll see how it changes. And I'm trying to be very aware without being obsessive. The thing that I mentioned right at the start, the food noise thing, I am still having that, and as I say, it was really eye-opening for me to hear it phrased like that, because it is, when you have any kind of issues with food, when you have addictions or eating disorders, or however you want to define them, and it's not easy to define them when you're an overeater. When you're an undereater, or you use food in that way, there are definitions for it. There are illnesses that are defined. I don't know if there's anything. Maybe you can tell me. I don't know if there's anything for obesity, overeaters. But this food noise that you get, which is that everything is constantly revolves around food. When you go to bed in the night, you think about, okay, what am I going to eat the next day? Before you've even had your breakfast, you're thinking about what you're going to have for lunch. So that's the very basic level of it. It's constantly thinking about what you're going to eat, and then when you're dieting, it's what you're not going to eat. It's that pressure. So you're really just exchanging. Most of the time, all I'm doing is exchanging one obsession for another, for a different one. But also, it's when you have the food in front of you. It's how you eat it. It's the ramming it down your face. There's so many, or eating politely when you it's so much, everything. It's really hard to even, I'm sure, if everybody who's gone through it knows what I'm talking about. It pervades every part of your life. And what I've noticed on a few of these videos that I have watched is that the people who are talking about it with hindsight, I lost weight on Manjaro and this is how I did it. But the one thing that they talk about is the food noise disappearing, and how all of a sudden you go from being an overeater to being somebody with abnormal issues with food, to being somebody who they assume is the brain is acting like a normal person, people who don't have issues with food. And that's that. As soon as that food noise lifts, they're on their way to becoming that person, if you like. And I think that's what happened to me the first time I lost weight when I got to Spain. That food noise went. Like, people would say to me, "Are you enjoying your food?" I go, "Well, no, but you know, it just does what it does." And it was really empowering to feel like that. I've never felt it before, and I'm hoping that that's how I'm going to feel again. And I'm hoping with this drug that I won't fall off the wagon at any time. You know, that there will be something physical that will keep me on that path, that will keep me feeling like that. You know, because I managed to do it like that on my own for 18 months, and then something happened, and it was like falling off a wagon. Suddenly everything that I thought just went like that in an instant, and I was back to where I was. I'm hoping that this is the thing that's going to keep me off, or keep me back up, keep me on that wagon, stop me falling off it, because it will be a physical thing. Like everything to do with food, when you have issues, everything is emotional. It's all emotional. People say, "Oh, you know, exercise more, eat less." You're just talking about addressing the symptoms. Everything is about emotions, certainly for me. And like, from what people that I've spoken to, interestingly, my neighbour, I mentioned yesterday that I'd just taken my first injection, and she said, "Oh my God, I'm waiting for my prescription. I'm going to do the same." Now she is going to be on the Mounjaro, so she's going to be a week delayed. I'm the week sort of ahead of her, but it's going to be interesting to see the difference between the two of us. But she, you know, I had a conversation with her, and it was me too. Same. Yeah, oh, I eat when I'm hungry. I don't eat when I'm not hungry. Absolutely, in every single thing, from the obvious to the deeper stuff. So I'm going to be interested to talk to her and see how things differ, whether or not things differ at different rates or in different ways. And even then, I suppose it'll be hard to know whether or not it's the difference between her and I, or if it's going to be the difference between the two drugs. But even so, it'd be interesting to see the difference. So anyway, that's where I am. £7 in 7 days. I've taken my second injection. The brain is working overtime. The stomach is, well, it's doing what it's supposed to be doing at the moment. We'll see where we are. Okay, well, I shall speak to you. Have a lovely week, and I shall speak to you next week.